everyone. Welcome to another episode of the QubicaAMF Tech Tip Podcast. This is a weekly podcast where we take you on a journey through the fascinating world of bowling technology and beyond. As always, I'm your host, Orly, and as always, we have a very special guest. We have Mark Henderson on the show today. Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, and I appreciate
you again, Orly.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you coming back on the show. I was just going to mention that Mark was just on a previous show. And he was a great guest, and we're excited to have him back. So, Mark, just in case they weren't able to hear that last show, can you let everyone know your title with QubicaAMF and what you do with the company?
Yes, I'm in technical support and specifically in the electromechanical side.
And last time Mark was here, he covered some hyperbowling, general maintenance. And today we were going to kind of stick on that same subject of general maintenance. And we wanted to cover edge string machine maintenance and, maybe just some things that you could do to keep your edge string machines in top condition. And, I had a string machine in the center I was previously at, and they were great machines. I heard when we first talked to someone, they were like, you don't really need your full-time mechanic, maybe not as much anymore. You don't need somebody really there to always be fixing things on it. It's not going to go down as much as regular machines. And that was 100% true. It was very rare that there was any type of issue. So Mark's going to cover today what you can do to have minimal issues, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I'll jump right in if you're ready.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. The edge string machines are just fewer moving parts because you're not transporting individual pins that are not attached to anything through a shuttle to a bin to be reset by a machine that needs to put them on the deck. Rather, the strings are attached to each one. Now, the caveat with that is, as you can probably imagine, with the string machine, the one pin is always the one pin. The two pin is always the two pin, etc. And what that means is the first three pins are going to take the brunt of the beating for most of the bowling ball strikes, and that's going to cause unequal pin wear unless you rotate those pins. So it's imperative to do that, and it's about every 25,000 frames or about every 3 months. You'll want to move those first three pins to the left rear. And then on the next time around, move those over and take the pins that were in the back that are now in the front, and move those over. Kind of like the same idea of rotating the tires on your car to kind of spread the wear around so you're not wearing out some much more rapidly than the others. And doing that just is going to extend the life of your pins. And then I would say the next thing on the maintenance thing, and a lot of these are just, they come up as you're using the machine, and that is string adjustment issues. And when you've got an error, and this little silver control box with red LEDs on the machine, not to be confused with the system controller, the big chassis on the back with the red e-stop button, but this little box is going to tell you if there's an issue, and a solid glowing LED means your string is too long. If it's flashing after an adjustment, that means it's too tight, and you've got to adjust that right away. And it's pretty simple. You just open the reel arm cover and pull on the spool, and there's a spring, you'll feel it, to move it away from the pin that locks it in place, and adjust the spool until it's just off that hard stop bracket, and then go back one hole. And then to test it, just press full set, check your string adjustment, and if all the LEDs are off, your string adjustment is correct. Again, if they're all on, solid, the corresponding strings are too loose and they're blinking, that means they're too tight. And
I'm going to jump in there real quick, Mark.
Sure.
One thing you might want to do, if you're like me, is I kept forgetting, is it blinking this or is it solid this? So I put a note in my phone. So every time I go back there, if I forgot, I'm like, okay, it's that. Okay. Because, you don't want to be confused. So, that's a good tip, I feel. But if you're like me and forget sometimes, make sure to put a little note in your phone.
Sure. And you can always double check the manual. If you don't have one, call us here at Tech Support. We can send you a link to the PDF so that you can go right to the maintenance section in section 3. And the other thing to keep track of is, as the machines are used and as the strings go back and forth through the guides and over the pulleys, sometimes they will start to fray and you'll get some fuzz buildup. And that can happen in that little pigtail coil, what they call the string guide. And if you're following along in your manuals, that's part 051-200-056. And occasionally also, we've even seen cases where the little retaining screw has become loose on these. And if those are unattached or they come off, you're going to get an error because it's going to cause things to bind. So that's one good thing to check when you're in there, and also just to check the integrity of the little printed circuit board on the brake encoder assembly. In rare instances, a string can come up and hook on an electronic piece that's on the surface mount of that, and that can damage the encoder board. Not an everyday occurrence, but occasionally this happens, and so oftentimes the whole brake assembly is fine except for that encoder board, and you can get just that part. And also the cable that connects it. I've had customers call where they say, hey, I think I've got a bad encoder board, and a wire may have come loose on that little connecting cable. So it's just an idea when you're in there checking for the accumulation of fuzz from strings that are getting worn, and you're doing your adjustments to just kind of eyeball those parts. One of the other things I'll move on to check is the ball lift itself. And we occasionally see that little lifter assembly. It kind of looks like a U-shaped hook that might have gotten flipped down and not deploy correctly. And you're going to get an error or it's not going to pick up the ball. So check that, and also the chain itself. Now, one of the things that you may have is and if not, it's a good idea to get, is the chain tensioner tool, and that allows you to see how much play there is on that chain. And with that, there's a little cutout in the gauge that if you're anywhere in that range, your chain is fine. If it's about a 3/4 of an inch deflection. If it's sloppier than that, it can actually interfere with the sensors. And on that ball lift, that's the last thing I'll touch on that, is at the bottom of the ball lift, there are a couple of sensors that when the ball gets in the way, it says, oh, the beam's broken, it's time for me to lift. Make sure that those are clean, unobstructed, and that the little cable end connectors are firmly attached to that, because if those get blocked or a cable comes off, you're going to get an error code. Okay. And so other than that, it's usually just a matter of keeping an eye on the box, and if you get a chassis error that says you've got a lift error, or if you have an encoder error, to just go to that section and check it out. And if it isn't abundantly clear, that's what we're here for. Give us a call.
Yeah, that's some great information there, Mark. I appreciate that. Yeah, and always, as he mentioned, if you're unable to do that, and need some help with that, or you're not able to figure it out, give them a call. They're always there to help you guys. Yeah, I mean, again, Mark, I appreciate you coming on. As I've mentioned before, these shows, there's so much information here for people to take advantage of. And what's great about it too is I know sometimes, I listen to podcasts, and even to me, some of my favorite podcasts are like 2 hours, 3 hours. I'm like, I don't have the time. I want to listen, but I don't have the time to listen to it. And you kind of look over it. These are great. They're anywhere from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. And it's just some, you could pop a little earbud in your ear, walking into your center. And once you're able to listen to these episodes, make sure to share the information you learned with staff or any other management, or just maybe let them know about the show. And let them know, go back and listen to all these shows. There's so much information that Mark and others that came on the show that share with us. And yeah, Mark, we truly appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. And if you got 45 seconds, I'll give you an addendum.
Yeah, you're good.
There's one last thing I forgot to mention is sometimes you might get a stuck ball at the ball door. And that's another one that's not too terribly difficult to clear. You just want to press work and then open the pit hinge top cover of the machine rear cover. And you'll see the verify that the ball is stuck at the door. Just press respot, and it'll open the ball door, and then you can take one of the pin hooks and you push it through, and then close the open cover and press play again. Other than that, it's a pretty trouble-free machine, and easy to get back in action soon. And as I say, any other problems you have, just give us a call here at Tech Support at 866-460-7263, option 3, and we're here to help.
Perfect, Mark. Again, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Rudy.
And until next time, everyone, we will talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.